anyone here is from Derbyshire and wants there to be a whisky distillery in the region, well, good news, because, I mean, they've been there for a minute now. But today, we're going to be covering their output. Hello everyone, and welcome to John Drinks, the channel where I, John, have a drink. And if you're interested in watching weekly whisky videos, then do please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification icon for... it does something updatey. Today, we're going to be covering... this. I had to melt the wax off this because it was resistant to me. I've been attacking this thing with scissors and all sorts. This is the Wireworks inaugural release. It's 50.3% English whiskey. We've done English whiskey in the past, though, you know, not many. Time was, English whiskey was sort of the bastard stepchild of the whiskey world, really. So I'm keen to try this. Wireworks was one of those ones that flew under the radar for me. For folks who are a fan of new whiskey distilleries, there has never been a better time to be alive. And do you know what? I haven't checked that empirically, but I have a feeling I might just be right, because there's one born every minute at the moment, for want of a better way of putting it. I'm looking around the room, actually. I've got Nucknean over there, I've got Rassi on the floor, I've got Lindor's over there, I've got Wireworks here. I'm pretty sure on the back shelf as well, there's a few other newbies kicking around, so, yeah. Actually, there definitely is. I'm going to do a shout out, why not? So, anyone who watches this channel will know that I do samples because I'm poor. I mean, aren't we all these days? But I use this. I'm not being sponsored to do this, by the way. I paid for these using my own... actually, a fair bit of the patrons' money, actually. Oh yeah, there's a patron link in the thing down below. These are called the Sample Guys. They started up over the pandemic, because when's there a better time to open a business? And they were like, hey, we're going to send, like, you know, samples of booze to you. And I have used them before, actually. There are sample bottles that I have utilised in the past, but I didn't think to put any within arm's reach. That was clever. You're just going to have to take my word for it. But I have used them in the past, and they're good. They're good, you know. I like me some samples. They are going to be having a Bladnoch tasting, and it's like all the waterfalls and single casks, and it's going to be like 70 quid. And I'm tempted. I'm tempted. Partly because, I mean, duh, I love Bladnoch, but also I might have a bit left over to like do stuff on here. So, there's a join button down below as well if you want to chip in a quid to help me get that. Also, I think there is actually like a tip function on YouTube now. Somebody was telling me about it the other day. I think there is actually a tip thing, or I don't think it's called tip, but it's something else like monetary hand job or something. It's probably not called that, although can you imagine? Anyway, if you're new to this channel, God help you, get a cup of tea, sit down, it's going to be a roller coaster. The whiskey. We should talk about this, shouldn't we? I put it in this glass. Everyone's favourite male bodily condition glass. A few of you didn't know what that word meant when I first mentioned that a few videos ago. You're welcome. It's an educational channel, this much. If you don't know what I'm on about, I think it was the Boona Harbin video. I didn't bother checking. Just go watch the entire back catalogue. It's probably good for the views, if nothing else. I'm really just being corporate about this today, aren't I? I'm being soulless, shameless. Never watched that series. Probably should have done. I still could. It didn't cease to exist. Unlike 60s Doctor Who. We will never see the Daleks' master plan. Anyway, so. Where were we? Yes, so this is Wireworks Distillery in Derbyshire. I mentioned that already, didn't I? Not to be confused with Delia, Derbyshire. That's Doctor Who again. Where are these links coming from? Yeah, so these guys, they basically have... it's an old Wireworks, that's where the name comes from. They converted it into a distillery. They still use some of the pumping technology that was left over from when it was an industrial wire-making plant process thing. And they utilise that for, I think they use it for some of their cooling equipment, I believe. And they've written about it and they've said, you know, it's good for the environment and also cheaper for us, which I like, because a lot of companies will they'll say, you know, oh, this is good for the environment, and they won't mention the elephant in the room, which is also it's cheaper. Turns out being green is good for your wallet as well. Who'd have thunked? One little tidbit about this distillery, actually. In the same vein as Arran, when they had to stop production for a minute, when some Golden Eagles were like, hey, we want a shag in your distillery, so we're gonna. These guys had a similar issue, but they had it with bats. So I don't know if Robert Patterson has been approached to be the official face for this whiskey brand, but I've heard worse ideas. I mean, even if it had nothing to do with Batman, he's just a beautiful man, so, you know, where's the harm? It's not doing Hate Club anymore. Oh, wait, actually, it is doing a fair bit of damage, isn't it? Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't do that. Maybe, Paul Dano. There you go. There's a different... That's a different face, entirely. Maybe not in the green overcoat rubbery thing. It was a weird costume, that wasn't it? I loved the film. What am I on about? I don't know. I think I'm just filling out time right now. There's some whiskey in this glass, and it's young, and it's been sat here for a few minutes now, so it'll have had all the air time that it needs. One little other tidbit about the distillery before we dive into this is the distillery itself do also produce other things. They produce rums, they produce gins, you know, they are a working distillery and they knock out various different things. Similar to Wolf Distillery, they produce their own whiskies, rums, gins, you know, they're multifaceted. They do more than one thing. Wolf, we covered them a little while ago. Not the Klingon off of Star Trek The Next Generation / Deep Space Nine Season 4 onwards / Picard Season 3 onwards. Spoilers. The WHARF, it's the distillery. We tried some gin of theirs a good long while ago. It's a nice gin. Anyway, so I've got the inaugural here. If you know, I'll leave links down to the sample guides, and I think the Whiskey Exchange still has some as well of the Wireworks. You can still get your hands on this easily enough if you don't want a bottle. So if you are just keen to try it, you are catered for. The bottle is beautiful. I think they're currently hosting a ballot for their single cask because it's the way of the world at the minute, you know. It's an asset as much as anything else. It's printing money, these first few bottles, which is good for the distillery because it means they sell it like that, you know, and it's good for whoever manages to get their hands on it, I suppose, in about 10 years when they want a second holiday home or something, I don't know. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Oh, it's peachy. It's a little peaty. A peaty peach. A peaty peach. It's a smoky arse. No. Oh, before one of you starts, yes, there is a difference between smoke and peat. I know. Stop it. Stop typing. I said stop. Thank you. Yeah. It's vanilla-y. There's a little bit of like a cacao nib sort of a thing. Like, have you ever had those like vegan chocolate bars that aren't chocolate bars at all? Oh, what was the bloody name of the brand? They still exist, I'm pretty sure. But basically, like they're like, I don't know how to describe it without explaining the name. They were like a vegan chocolate orange bar, and they used cacao nibs, and I thought they were lovely. But loads of people that I knew thought they tasted like rancid prunes. Maybe I'm just into rancid prunes. I don't know. But that was the worst tasting note on YouTube ever. Right here, right now. You just saw it. That was bad. Even I don't know what I mean. It's kind of cacao nibby, a little bit of orange. Loads of peach. Yeah. It's sweet. There's a tickle of smoke. I like how this smells. There we go. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. It's refreshing as a smell. It's not what I was expecting, given kind of like the history and everything else that I've read about it. It was I was expecting something a bit closer to like a Ben Nevis, like grungy and but it's not that. I don't know. Maybe the fire did some damage, but okay. I'm going to try this neat. It's a big boy, 50%, so I'm going to add some water as well at some point, but, you know, we try these things neat first. Also, I've got my microphone clip down here, and I think I've punched it a few times, so apologies if you got walloped just then. Now then. Now then. Ooh. Oh, it's not done with me yet. Fascinating. If anyone's ever had ginger nut biscuits and then been like, do you know what this needs? This needs custard. I don't mean like, you know, you made your own. I mean, you got the packet of stuff and you put it in a jug and you added water and you stirred that shit up and you poured it all over your biscuits and you ate them at 3 in the afternoon in your underpants watching YouTube. Why am I telling the internet this? It tastes like that. Not me in my underpants. Ginger nuts and custard. I'm fine. Am I, though? It's wonderfully fruity. But there's also kind of a interesting, grungy, I almost want to say rusty note to it. I don't know how else to describe this. There's like a kind of earthy, slightly metallic twang, but it's not an off note. It's not like I'm going, blah, blah, blah. It's, you know, tiger bread, right? You know, it's got like that, I think it's a glaze over the top, and it's got that flavour to it. That kind of like, I describe it as like a slightly rusty metal taste. And it's not the best description in the world, because it's A, unappealing, and B, inaccurate. But that's just how I describe it. But it's that similar kind of flavour that I'm getting on the back note, and it takes a minute to build, but once it gets there, it won't fucking go away. And in the middle, it was quite fruity, peachy, vanilla kind of a thing. So I went from ginger to fruity and peachy vanilla. There's a bit of custard at the front end, fake powdered custard, which, let's face it, the best custard, fight me, and then rusty bread at the end. I do this weekly, and I am getting worse at it, if anything. This is Benjamin Button kind of stuff. It's like vast slide backwards into... Let's have some more. Second sip, it opens with Tunnock's caramel wafer. Vanilla, caramel, chocolate, delightful. Quite gingery. There's that custard again. Peaches in the middle. Rusty bread. And I like it. I really like this. This is great. It's got a progression. It's nuts. It's all over the place. I'm not the only person to review this as well. Moa, Swedish Whiskey Girl, has definitely done a review of this. She also somehow managed to get her hands on the new make. I don't know who her connections are. I assume she has connections in the mafia to get some of this stuff. I'm just putting it out there. It's always the nice ones, isn't it? It's too nice. Too nice. Keeping an eye on her. I just took a tiny sip that time because I just wanted a bit more ginger nut in my mouth. Let's add some water. Let's do that. Let's now my tiny little ornamental jug has gone missing. I don't know where it is. It's in this flat somewhere. But for the time being, I'm just going to sub in a little bottle. We can always add, we cannot take away. This thing glugs better, actually. Maybe I'll use this going forward. Right. Swooshy, 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 swooshy. If I feel it needs a bit more, I'll stick a bit more in. Interesting. It's gone very vegetal. It's like, scratch that, floral. Both? It's gone quite a sort of floral, perfumed kind of an aroma now. The peaches are still coming through. Now I've had a chance to adjust, but it was quite almost like garden roses when I first smelled it. It's like, and now the peach is coming through a wee bit more, and it's gone more fruity again. But that it was a brief. Maybe I've just got have I got roses in here and I'm getting mixed up? No, be the right time of year for it. Should throw those carnations out actually. Yeah, peachy, a little plummy. And again, just this floral overcoat that's been produced. Peaches and rose. Make an interesting spin on Turkish Delight, I suppose. It's very soft aroma that I'm getting from it. A little sweet. There's something of like drying hay as well, kind of like if anyone's ever been to a farmer's show, it's like bales of hay cooking in the summer heat. No? Okay. No one's ever been to Bredbury's Farmer Fair then. That was a thing that used to happen in my childhood. I used to get dragged around a field for hours at end. It was not interesting in the slightest. But my dad insisted we go, as I slowly just cooked to death in a field. My dad once accused me of having too little stamina because I was suffering from heat stroke. That is a thing that happened. Anyway, there's something soapy about it. That's what I've been resisting saying up until now. It does have... It's kind of like you just walked in the bathroom and you're running a bubble bath. It's that kind of faint, soapy smell. It's not disarming, but it is odd. Ginger nuts have left the building and it's now just a bowl of custard. Yeah, I've done that too. The middle's gone kind of dark chocolate now. Instead, that's an interesting change. A little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel. It's quite sweet and confectionery led. There is a lick of smoke. It's a little saline. And that rusty bread note, just go with me on this, it's fine. It's become more kind of, just a kind of a bitter, salty edge. It's like, you probably know what I'm going to say, so I won't say it, but it's like that. Somebody downstairs will spell it out for you. Way. There's like a Seville marmalade orange bitterness that's coming through as like a backbone now that I wasn't getting on the first sip. Rich vanilla, quite sweet, gives way to kind of a dark chocolate, Seville orange marmalade bitterness in the middle. Finishes off with kind of like a saline, almost kind of hoppy, bright, clean bitterness on the finish. And it's a little bit minty, little spritz of like fresh menthol at the end, just kind of send you on your way. This is lovely. English whiskey really is showing the Johnny-come-latelys up in Scotland. Is that the right thing I'm wanting to say? It's probably not. It's showing us how it's done. You know, they are making a name for themselves. To be fair, it's not. It's the same fucking island. You know, why would it make that much of a difference if somebody just gives a shit when they're making their stuff? It's not gonna. And lo and behold, the secret of the universe was unlocked. Turns out it's giving a fuck about what you're producing in the first place. Who'da thunk? Anyway, that was the Wireworks inaugural release. I like it. What do you think of Wireworks? Have you had a chance to try it? Are you excited by this influx of new distilleries? Is there anything in particular that you have your eye on that you want to give a try? Let me know down below. Thumbs this video if you enjoyed it. Do subscribe to the channel if you're interested in weekly content about whiskey. And do join me next time, where I'll be drinking something else.